Hello my friends, let's go straight to the Bakhmut city. The situation there is standard for the 3 days. Russia is not moving from the Klishivka. They tried it but were met with Ukrainian resistance. And that is their main vector of attack. They want to get to Chasiv Yar. If they get to that place, they would cut all the supplies for Bakhmut, cutting the main road as well as the secondary one that leads from Chasiv Yar. And unfortunately, those are just the two roads available for the Bakhmut supplies. Both of those are under constant Russian shelling. They use artillery systems to fire shells to demolish our supplies. But still Ukrainian army resists, so the front line is over here. You cannot put the artillery systems directly on the front line. That's why Russia put those far away from the front lines, and that is why they're in lack of precision fire. In the Bakhmut city, there is no advantage of the Russian forces for the recent 2 days. And from Bakhmut city, let's go to the north to Blahodatne village, which is very close to Soledar. And Blahodatne was captured by the Russian forces. You can see it on this military map. It's not yet been confirmed by officials of the Ukrainian army, but we know that from the photo evidence taken by the Wagner soldiers from the place. So unfortunately, it's truce, and they took the access to get 2 more villages over here, Krasna Hora and nearby Provoskova Castle. They may not just attack from this direction or this direction, they also now will go from the north, and it's just a matter of time that those villages would be captured by the Wagner soldiers, unfortunately. For Ukrainian army, it's better to create the new defense line, so we're here to protect this part and actually also protect the Bakhmut city. That's the final border of defense. Those 2 villages, Yahidne and Berhivka, that might be used by Ukrainian forces for the protection from the north. As for Russia, they have the problem with this area since there are no any villages, just open fields and also some of the lakes, very hard to go through during the winter time. That's why I'm sure that they will stop on this border till the spring time, but they will still try to get to the Bakhmut city from the north, as well as to cut supplies, as I said to you before. And now let's go to Crimea, where Ukraine got the counterattack in attempt to get control over that city. But today, unfortunately, Russia moved and captured this part, the Davydov village. Not a good sign for Ukrainian army. Russia put lots of the minefields, and for us, it's very hard to move fast in that area. That's why that counterattack from Ukrainian side was quite slow. As you can see on this map, their attack was successful, and now I'm just gonna go to the timeline to show you. Yesterday it was like that, and today they moved to Davydov. The fighting is ongoing there just right now. Ukrainian army is still not far away from Crimea, just 2 kilometers, and we use our artillery to fire to the Russian places. As you can see, this winter campaign is rather slow because mainly of the weather conditions. And secondly, Ukrainian army wasn't prepared for the massive counteroffensive operation. During the springtime we'll have more weapons, including tanks, so I'm getting ready for new jump from Ukrainian army that will happen during the warm weather period. Now Ukraine is counted as the most mined country in the world. Together we have around 40% of Ukrainian territory that got mined. It's more than in Afghanistan and Iraq combined. We have the report that near to Melitopol, Ukrainian rocket artillery systems HIMARS were able to cut the Russian supplies, destroying the main breach. So this is the Russian propaganda filming about this breach, showing the result of the HIMARS attack that could be corrected with the next one. So thank you, Russian propaganda, for showing us where the damage was done in particular. So you can see rails are gone, but still the breach as the structure exists, and Russia may repair it. The Russian army military logistics was built to use rails rather than usual roads. That's why in Donbass they were very successful, because there are plenty of the railroads in that region. Alright my friends, last night it was the massive drone attack on military infrastructure of Iran. Some of the international media say that Israel started the demilitarization operation in Iran. However, there were no any official reports from Israel itself. They just do their business. It's their policy. Iran officials say that the attack wasn't successful, but I posted many of the videos on my Telegram channel. By the way, you may check it out in a video description below, and please join me there for the latest updates. So there I published lots of the videos showing the result of that, and there were lots of the fires, lots of the explosions. So for sure those drones hit many military targets in Iran. Unfortunately, the Shahid drone factory is still intact, so we have the satellite image of it yesterday and today, so there are no any changes in this particular military facility. It means that Iran may still produce their drones and send them to Russia. And based on the Iranian fighter aviation activity, we can see they fly a lot of the times to Moscow. So what they do, they just deliver the units separately: wings, fuselage, engines, electronics, and on Russian factories they just put all together and put the mark Giran 2 or something, claiming that it's the Russian drone. The same thing usually happens with the cars, but actually those drones are Iranian made. According to the Tech Spiegel resource, Chancellor Scholz opposed the transfer of the fighter jets to Ukraine. He afraid that it will raise the stakes, blah blah blah, whatever he usually says. But after a while, Scholz does what he should. But anyways, my friends, we have a huge military support from Germany. For example, they will transfer 105 Vector drones to Ukrainian surveillance team. There are lots of the pilots of Ukrainian airlines out there, and recently we were able to buy them some vehicles for their unit. I just participated. It wasn't done fully with my funds, but we did a great job with my friends who helped that unit. Those cars are very important since you can load your drone there and drive all across the front lines, rapidly changing your positions, because unfortunately Russian army has the tools to identify the position of the controller. But Russian artillery is not that precise and modern, and they need time to aim their target, and we use this time to fly the drone and collect the very important information. And all of the information from the drones go to the special command centers where it's been processed, and our army commanders know the information about what is happening on the front lines. Russians do not have those tools. They have some drones, but not as much as Ukrainian army, and Germany helps us with that, so thank you so much. According to the Washington Post article, United States may deliver the Abrams tanks at the end of this year or at the beginning of 2024. I wouldn't trust it for now. If they decided to deliver tanks to Ukraine, those tanks for sure will be delivered for the summer campaign at least, because we need to use the warm time to continue the initiative action on the front line. If we wait for 1 year, Russia will gather resources and attack with new forces. However, there is the conspiracy theory that in 2024 there will be election year in Russia as well as in the United States, so our Western allies are coming to that year to attack Russian army. The Russian army defeated on the front lines, Putin loses the power, Russian elite will elect the new Putin for their regime, and probably the new leader would withdraw the forces from Ukraine. In the United States, there is the huge victory, and the current administration of Washington secures its power. But I'm almost sure that we're gonna get the tanks in 2023. Again, a big corruption scandal in Ukraine. This is the chief of the Baykar company, which produces the Bayraktar drones, and they wanted to open their factory in Ukraine. And he said that Ukrainian officials asked for the $10 million to connect their factory for the electrical line. And also they told him to wait 2 years. Yes, it's crazy, but that happened before the war, and I guess after the war we're gonna get rid of the most corruption in Ukrainian country. You cannot get rid of it completely, because even in your country you have some corruption, but the very important stuff is the attitude of the government towards it, whether they want to fight against it or not. In Ukraine, I don't really see that government wants to fight against it even during the war time. There are some minor changes, but only with the help of our Western military allies. And Germany will send 78 of those tow trucks to Ukraine. They are used to carry tanks and other armored vehicles. Those are very important. Plus, Poland created some maintenance facilities for Ukrainian equipment, and our tanks and armored vehicles will be delivered to the Poland side for the maintenance. This is a very interesting video. Nothing special there except Russians running away from the destroyed command center using the motorcycle with the sidecar. It's very interesting. They tried to start it unsuccessfully. Oh my god. Yes, it's very hard to do it, and they decided to just push it until it runs, but it didn't run, so they continued to push it. Oh, it runs now. It's just crazy. But you see, Russian side also uses the sidecar motorcycles. I donated mine to Ukrainian army, which is not actually on the front lines because the Dniepers are not very reliable to serve at the front, so they're around 30 kilometers away from the front lines. And as I am filming this video right now, there were some new explosions reported in Iran. So I guess it's true that Israel launched some sort of the military operation to target Iranian military infrastructure. Iran continued to say that they are on the way to develop the nuclear weapons. Israel is not okay with it, and many of the neighboring countries. That is why they decided to act right now. And we're gonna see how Iran may potentially respond to those attacks. Actually, they don't have as many tools as Israeli side. You can see that if Israeli wants, they may target any kind of the infrastructural objects in Iran. My friends, now press the like to this video. Also, if you want to support me financially, there are some links in the video description below. You may support me on Patreon, PayPal or Donatello, whichever is more convenient for you. Thank you so much for your support, and I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are. Have a great time.